Sripada Sharanam Prapadhye, Chapter-22. The story of Gurudatta Bhatt. Sripada alone can confer the results of the horoscope to his devotees. Gurucharan, Krishnadas and I remained in an inexplicable elated exhilaration in the presence of Sripada. An astrological pandit named Gurudatta Bhatt came for the darshan of Sri Gurudev. Sripada treated him with utmost cordiality. We were asked to conduct a satsang at a peaceful place. Our conversation turned towards the astrological signs. I questioned Sri Bhatt, Sir, will the results indicated in the astrological signs definitely happen? Or is it possible to have changes or additions in the results? Is human life conditioned by past karma? Or is it controlled by human effort? Then Sri Bhatt explained the chakra of Bha. Bha means light and chakra means wheel, means the path of the stars. The starting point for it is the Ashwini star. It is difficult to recognize the sphere of the Ashwini star. There are two methods to locate this star. They are Chaitra Paksha and Revati Paksha. The Revati star's brilliance is 8 points below the potency of what is required. So it is not an acceptable method to locate the Ashwini star. The Chitra star, which is at 180 degrees from the Ashwini star, is conspicuous as a single globe and shines forth brilliantly. When 6 zodiacal signs are added to it, it will indicate the position of the Ashwini star. Therefore, Chaitra Paksha is accepted as a method to locate the Ashwini star. The Ashwini star is proved as consisting of 3 spheres as Turagamukha Ashwini Shreni. There is a special reason for the birth of Sripada in the Chitra star. The Ashwini star, having 3 globes and looking like one star, is also his form. It is the beginning of the Bha Chakra, that is, his form of Dattatreya. His very first incarnation was that of Sripada Srivallabha. His birth star Chitra is exactly at 180 degrees in a straight line from the Ashwini star. The strength of any planet or star will be concentrated at a point of 180 degrees distance. Human beings take birth in a mathematically appropriate arrangements of planets which is in consonance with their past karma. Planets do not have love or hatred towards human beings. Different rays and different vibrations emanating from them have the power to create relevant incidents at appropriate times and at appropriate places. To escape from the undesirable results of negative incidents that might happen, we must possess vibrations and rays capable of arresting and defeating those negative vibrations and rays. This can be achieved by mantras, tantras, meditation, prayer, and similar methods or by our personal yogic power. However, if the karma of the previous births is extraordinarily strong, then the above mentioned procedures will not work. Under such circumstances, only Sripada can rewrite the writings on our forehead. For him to revise the writing on our forehead, there must be some situation wherein some benefit will be gained by the world through us. This will not happen under ordinary circumstances. Sripada will not interfere unnecessarily in the programs of the creation and in the activities of the deities of fate. Nevertheless, the suffering of a devotee will move Sripada. Due to the force of the great influence of love and compassion that swell from the heart of the Lord, the strength of the deities and fate will become weak. Fate is inert. Sripada is the consciousness personified. When he feels it is necessary, he will turn dust into sky and sky into dust and will display his capacity for reconciling the irreconcilable. This is a very natural thing for him. Sri Bhatt continued, in my ignorant state, I was under the illusion that I was a great scholar in astrology. I belong to Karnataka. I cannot speak fluently in Telugu. I can communicate freely in Sanskrit. Luckily, I went to Pitikapuram. I heard from some people about Sripada Srivallabha. Our family deity is Sri Dattatreya. I visited the self-existent Datta in the Kukuteshwara temple, which is the Padagaya Kshetra. I worshipped Datta with devotion and diligence. When I was in meditation, I heard an inner voice clearly. You fool! How long ago did you die? You are bragging like you are my devotee. You are giving camphor arati to my face and driving nails in my feet. Have you come here to drive nails into my feet at Padagaya and see my blood? I heard these words repeatedly. As I was an astrological pandit, I made calculations of my horoscope. I was in the presence of the self manifested Datta in the Padagaya Kshetra at the exact date and time at which I should leave the body. I tried to feel my pulse. The pulse stopped. I tried to feel the beat of my heart. It also was not working. I saw my face in the mirror. Instead of life symptoms, symptoms of death were prominent in the face. While laughing, I looked at my face in the mirror. What was there to be proud of? It looked like the laugh of the corpse with an ugly aura of a ghost. The priest in the temple of the self manifested Datta was a very greedy one. I could see his subtle body. His subtle body had more ugly features than mine. The discriminating power that was hidden in some corner of my personality awakened. I understood that my sorrowful condition would not be removed unless I had the darshan of Sripada. Deities are the personification of perfect bliss. They are in an exalted bliss state even if they do not have the heartbeat and pulse movement. My position was much worse. There was no happiness in my soul. On the other hand, there was heavy sorrow. When the soul departs from the body, the troubles of the body will come to an end. But my soul did not leave my body. However, my heart stopped functioning. Sri Gurudev created a peculiar situation for me. I realized how I got deceived by hearing the words of the most despicable people and sinners. The misleading, mischievous statements such as it is said that Swayambhu Datta, self-manifested Datta, who is in a stone in the temple, incarnated in the house of the Gandikota family. If it is true, then a stone will not have the pulsation of the nerves and heart. But Sripada has the pulsation of the nerves and heart. It is said that on Mahalaya Amavasya, a very sacred day for ancestor means, an Avaduta came and took Bhiksha from the Gandikota family. It is said that he was none other than Dattatreya, and that the Supreme Lord is now born as the maternal grandchild of the Malladi family. What a wonder! What a deceit! What a fraud! Listening to all these statements resulted in my forfeiting Sripada. I quickly ran to the house of Sripada. Sripada, aged 10 years at that time, came out into the street and reprimanded me. Come, O fool, to give nobler states to useless fellows like you, who pretend to be alive but who are already dead, and to devils that are in the human form, and for the sake of your ancestors who are undergoing terrible troubles in Raurava and other hells on account of your misdeeds. A being in the guise of an Avaduta came to his holy house on a Mahalaya Amavasya day and sought Bhiksha. Do you know who it was? It was none other than Dattatreya. Do you know who Dattatreya is? It is me, whose name, when mentioned, makes hordes of Rakshasas and devils shiver with fear. I am that Datta. I turned you into a rock but kept your hunger and thirst intact. I removed your prana but kept the appearance of an alive man. Let us decide afterwards whether I am Datta or not. First tell me this, you are really dead? But is it proper for you to deceive people that you are alive? When he questioned me in that thundering voice, I trembled violently with fear. In the meantime, Sumati Maharani came out of the house. She was struck with fear on seeing me and shouted, Kannaya, who is this Aghori with the symptoms of a corpse? Come inside. I will neutralize the effect of the evil eye of this Aghori. Then Sripada said, Mother, this person has not become an Aghori as yet. He is going to take birth as an Aghori, wherein he will burn corpses and eat them. He came to me prior to that ensuing birth. Mother, give him some chaddi, Anna, that is left behind. Sripada requested his mother. Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Sumati Maharani had kept some chaddi Anna or Taravani Anna. Both are rice dishes for Sripada. Sripada gave me that Taravani Anna and asked me to leave the place. I ate that Taravani Anna in an open place opposite to the Kukuteshwara temple. As soon as I ate it, my miserable state vanished. I went again for the darshan of Sripada, but Sri Sresti took him to their house. Sripada was in the grocery shop of Sri Sresti. He was personally receiving varahas and putting them in the cash box. Sri Sresti was personally measuring corn and rice and giving them to the customers. Sripada asked, Grandpa, today is the day to settle accounts. How much dakshina will you give to my father? How much dakshina will you give to me? Then Sri Sresti replied, Little lad, that which is given to your father is a monetary gift to a scholar, and that which is given to you is a money promised by oath to Lord Venkateshwara. There is no bargain between us. You can take whatever you want. You have to give me what I want. What an enchanting spectacle was that! Sripada took a small piece of jaggery and put it into his mouth. He gave me another piece of jaggery as prasad. Sripada said, Grandpa, the Ganesh puja conducted by me is now finished. Ganesha has put the piece of jaggery in his mouth as Naivedya. If you want proof, you can see my mouth. Saying so, he opened his mouth. What great vision Sri Sresti then had is not known to us. But after a while, Sri Sresti said, My golden lad, tell him that whenever he feels hungry, Ganesha can take as much jaggery as he desires as Naivedya without asking me. In the meantime, Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Venkata Subbamamba came and took Sripada for anointing bath. Gurudatta Bhatt said, My dear Shankara Bhatt, Sripada thus saved me from the misfortune of being born as an Aghori, since I was spoiled by hearing the words of crooked people. If I was merely left to my fate, I would have completely fallen down. On account of their pure love for mankind, Sadguru skillfully free us from the consequences of the fate acquired from prior births. For this, they spend their valuable power and time. The horoscope of Sripada will need to be calculated according to the Sandra Sindhu Veda. It cannot be approached through ordinary mathematics. Tithi, day, and stars will also be in accordance with the Sandra Sindhu Veda. Sripada, Sri Appalaraja Sharma, and Sri Bapanarya used to speak in Sanskrit along with Telugu in their house. They also used to speak in the Sandhya language, yogic language, which was in use in the Himalayas in the sacred land of the Saptarishi. This language spoken in Shambhala is different from Sanskrit. It is not possible to describe the sweetness or smoothness of that language. Only Sri Pada, Sri Bapanarya, and Sri Appalaraja Sharma could speak this language in Pitikapuram. Sripada said to Sri Bapanarya, who was known as Satyarushishvara, Rishi who upholds truth. Grandfather, Sri Krishna was speaking neither the truth nor untruth. He only preached the duties that need to be fulfilled. Sri Bapanarya said, "My lad, we should always speak the truth. Untruth should not be spoken even casually." Sripada smiled. That day in the afternoon, Sri Venkatappaya Sresti came to the house of Sri Bapanarya. Sri Sresti had an intense desire that Sri Bapanarya should take meals in their house during the Mahalaya Pakshas, and that he should compulsorily accept dakshina after the meals. His thought was that by doing so, his ancestors would be greatly pleased. Sri Sresti had a doubt in his mind whether Sri Bapanarya would honor his request. Even then, he thought of Sripada and expressed his opinion in front of Sri Bapanarya. Sri Bapanarya said that he would definitely accept meals in the house of Sri Sresti and that he would also receive dakshina. These words came effortlessly from the mouth of Sri Bapanarya. The happiness of Sri Sresti knew no bounds. Sripada is highly skillful. During the Mahalaya Pakshas, both Sri Sresti and Sri Bapanarya forgot about this promise. In the afternoon of Mahalaya Amavasya, Sri Sresti came to the house of Sri Bapanarya. Sripada smilingly said, "A promise should not be made in the first place. If a promise is made, then it should be kept. If the promise that was made is forgotten, at least the one who received the promise must remember it. I demand an explanation from both of you." Then both of them realized their mistake. This incident shows that Sripada is as much capable of making people aware as he is equally capable of making them forget. Both of them were sorry for their mistake. He consoled them by saying, "My role is involved in bringing forgetfulness to both of you. In every human being, there is I am, universal I, and I am, ego in the form of Chaitanya, consciousness. A living being derives not only the body but also the I am consciousness from the parents. For this I am consciousness, there is an ordained duty, karma, which is part of the universal plan. This is the bond of karma that comes in succession from the father to the son and from the son to his son and so on. Only when the order of asceticism is taken up after leaving the order of a householder, a release from this bond of karma can take place. The promise that you both made need not be fulfilled with this name and form. This promise has been transferred to the Chaitanya consciousness called the universal I am. Therefore, at some place and at some other time, a person from the lineage of Sri Bapanarya can eat and receive dakshina from the house of any person belonging to the lineage of Sri Sresti during the Mahalaya Paksha. You should not ask me when, how, and in what manner it will happen. The form of karma is very difficult to comprehend and it is very subtle. For certain actions, the physical time and the related yogic time may vary. According to physical time, this promise has to be kept during these Mahalaya Pakshas only. However, since the associated yoga time did not yet arrive, this action is pushed into the distant future. Sripada spoke to both of them beneficially. Then I asked Sri Bhatt to explain to me in detail about the physical time and the yoga time about which Sripada told them. Then Sri Bhatt said, along with physical time, Bhautika Kala and physical place, Bhautika Desha, there are also mental time, Manasika Kala and mental space, Manasika Desha. Together with them, there are Yoga Kala and Yoga Desha. Suppose a person is aged 60 years, but if he is constantly in the pursuit of education like a 20-year-old, then his physical time indicates 60 years that relates to his body. However, his mental age is regarded as 20 years. Similarly, if a youth aged 20 years is shouldering the load of responsibilities of a 60-year-old man, then his physical age indicates 20 years. This relates to his body, but his mental age is considered as 60 years. In this way, there is no rule that the physical time and the mental time should be the same. They may be different. Whoever constantly feels mentally eager to live in Kashi, Varanasi, or Pitikapuram will derive the fruits of residing in Kashi or Pitikapuram. Even if the body is at a particular place but the mind does not dwell there, then the fruits of residing in that place cannot be obtained. If a person has a strong mental desire and constantly thinks, I am going on a pilgrimage to Kashi, I will reside in Kashi, then he will get the benefit of residing in Kashi. The reason for this is that he mentally resides in Kashi only. Therefore, regardless of which country he physically lives in, his mental country would be Kashi only. Similarly, a person who kills a cow while living in Kashi will not get the advantage of physically residing in Kashi. Cranes standing in the waters of the Ganges River while waiting to catch fish will not get the merit of taking a bath in the Ganges River. Likewise, even though one lives in Pitikapuram and visits Sripada physically, he cannot be reckoned as a resident of Pitikapuram or as the devotee of Sripada unless his mental time and mental place are appropriately tuned. Matters relating to yoga time and yoga space can only be comprehended by persons of great spiritual strength. How the divine grace of Sripada results in someone being granted the yoga time and yoga space is a divine secret. Man has the authority to only execute karma, actions. Comforts from good actions and misery from bad actions invariably follow as results. Even though bonds of karma from the past lives follow us, and pester us, yoga time comes about from the compassion of Sadguru. When that yoga time comes, whatever karma that need to be redeemed in that place will be redeemed in that yoga space. This is a strange matter. In Pitikapuram, there was a servant called Shivaya who was with Sri Narasimhavarma. One day, Sripada suddenly looked at him with intent looks. Immediately, there was a lot of change in his mental makeup. He abandoned food and sleep. He started speaking incoherently. I am the cause for creation, administration, and destruction. I am the ancient one and the origin. All this creation is originating in me, developing by me, and again merging in me. Sri Narasimhavarma took lot of pity on Shivaya. He prayed to Sripada to save Shivaya. Then Sripada took Shivaya to the burial ground. Sri Narasimhavarma also followed. Dried sticks of an Audambara tree were arranged in the burial ground and Shivaya was made to burn them. Then Shivaya was freed from the curious mental disposition. All this appeared strange to Sri Narasimhavarma. Then Sripada said, Grandpa, there is nothing to wonder. A Pandit in Vyasapura Agraharam was always criticizing me. What a great offense! Where is Paramatma, the personification of the Vedas? Where is this young urchin Sripada? It is said that this boy is the cause for creation, sustenance, and destruction, and that he is the origin of the Yora. This is all a fraud, a blatant lie. He had this sort of constant thought. That Pandit died recently. He became a ghost. In one of his lives, Shivaya was slightly indebted to that Pandit. I created yoga time and decided the burial ground as the yoga space. I arranged a funeral with Audamara sticks as yoga karma and released the Pandit from the life of a gaul. I rescued our Shivaya from that gaul. My dear Shankara Bhatt, this great effulgence, the light of Dharma, who is incarnated in Pitikapuram, is today sanctifying Kurungadda. Planets give results following the will of Sripada. Any kind of astrological results are not bound to occur at a specified physical time and physical place. That will be decided according to the yoga time and yoga space. Sripada can show grace and avert accumulated fate and even death. If Sripada wills, he can make incidents happen now that, according to astrological signs, are supposed to happen in the future after 1,000 years. If he wills, an event that has to occur at a great distance will take place here. That means he can determine the yoga space. Events take place at a particular place and at a particular time. Sripada can alter those places and times at his pleasure. Once, when a coconut was to be broken before God in the house of Sresti, Sripada personally broke it. The coconut was broken into pieces. It was full of blood. Then Sripada said to Sri Sresti, "Grandfather, you are to die today. Your head is to be broken into pieces and blood is to flow. I transferred that space and time to the coconut and saved you." Sri Sresti was astonished at the words of Sripada. In the meantime, dusk has set in. The three of us took leave of Sripada and leaving Kurungadda, we reached the opposite bank of the Krishna river. Sripada Rajam Sharanam Prapadhye.